Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the parliament, okay? And these are the topics that we have scheduled for the discussion under this particular series, like starting with the introduction part, thereafter the organization of parliament, composition of two houses, system of elections to the Lok Sabha, duration of two houses, membership of parliament, presiding officers of parliament, leaders in parliament, sessions of parliament, devices of parliamentary proceedings, the legislative procedure in parliament, joint sitting of two houses, budget in parliament, multifunction role of parliament, ineffectiveness of parliamentary control, position of Rajya Sabha, parliamentary privileges, and the sovereignty of parliament. Okay. Out of this, basically we have done with the introduction part, organization of parliament, composition of two houses. We have been discussing over the system of elections to the Lok Sabha. And the topics that we are left with is the duration of two houses, membership of parliament, presiding officers of parliament, leaders in parliament, sessions of parliament, devices of parliamentary proceedings, legislative procedure in parliament, joint sitting of two houses, budget in parliament, multifunction role of parliament, ineffectiveness of parliamentary control, position of Rajya Sabha, parliamentary privileges, sovereignty of the parliament. Okay, so that is a picture that we have created so far altogether. So basically in this lecture we will continue from where we had left in the previous lecture. All right, so let's start from there. So basically in the previous lecture we were discussing this, that there are the two kinds of proportional representation. Okay, first one is the single transferable vote system and second one is the list system. And we know the first system is the single transferable vote system. All right, and this is applicable to three areas: 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, first area is what? First area belongs to the Rajya Sabha elections. Second area for the state legislative council. Third area belongs to the presidential elections. And then fourth area is vice presidential elections. All right. So these are the areas in which the single transferable vote system works. All right. Thereafter, we had seen that some members of the Constituent Assembly, okay, during drafting the Constitution, advocated that there must be some proportional representation. Why? Because if we talk about the first past the post system, if we talk about first past the post system, so what is the issue with the system? Like, this is only based on the majority of votes. Okay, it is not based on the constituencies representation. Okay, so this is the one of the, you can say, major drawback of the first past post system. So that's why some of the members wanted to implement the proportional representation for the Lok Sabha also. But there are two main reasons why the constitution does not carry any of the such things. First is that it will be difficult for voters to understand the system, which is complicated. Okay. Why? Because there is a low literacy in the country, and there was a low literacy even low when during the time of independence war. Thereafter, this is unsuitable to the parliamentary form of government because there will be a multiple political parties, and this could hamper the process of passing the legislation. Additionally, beside these two areas, if we talk about the some of the other demerits, disadvantages, or drawbacks of the you can say proportional representation. So the first is it is highly expensive. Second, does not give any scope for organizing by elections. Okay. Third, eliminates the intimate contacts between the voters and the representatives, because everyone knows the representative will be selected on the basis of proportion to the population which he belongs to. Thereafter, it promotes the minority thinking and group interest. Okay, like everyone would try to promote his or her caste. Thereafter, it increases the significance of party system and decreases that of voter. So these are some of the other demerit, disadvantages, or the drawbacks, even we call it as a limitations of the proportional representations. Why we not promoting it for the election of the Lok Sabha also. After the system of elections to the Lok Sabha, now let's have a discussion over the duration of two houses. Okay, like if we talk about the democracy, so basically first we talk about the parliament. We know that the Parliament of India promotes the democracy, all right, and basically the democracy having the one thing which is the elections for government. Like whichever government ruling the country, this government must be elected by the people. That is the, you can say, very basic foundation of the democracy. All right. And if there is election and if there is a parliament, so it means that there will be some fixed tenure or time period for the elections to be held. All right. So similar thing applicables in India also. Like in India, there is a fixed tenure or the time period. It means that once the candidates conquested in the elections, and if they get elected to the parliament as a member of parliament, okay, as an MP. So basically, doesn't matter whether they have got elected for the Rajya Sabha or for the Lok Sabha, they will have to be in the parliament for certain period or certain tenure or the fixed time period. Okay, and this is known as the duration of houses. That's what we are going to see here. All right. So if we talk about the first one, duration of Rajya Sabha, House of States, or the upper house. So the Rajya Sabha was first constituted in the 1952. It is a continuing chamber, that it is a permanent body and not subject to dissolution. So remember, when we were talking about the division of the parliament, then we had discussed the parliament had the three divisions. President, Rajya Sabha or the Lok Sabha. And then we had discussed that Rajya Sabha is known as the upper house, while the Lok Sabha is known as the lower house. Alright. And why the Lok Sabha known as the lower house? Because the Lok Sabha is subjected to the dissolution by whom? By the president of this country. Okay. So the president of India can dissolve the Lok Sabha. However, if we talk about the Rajya Sabha, then we know it is a continuing chamber and it is a permanent body which is not subject to dissolution. But however, 1/3 of its member retires every second year. Okay, 1/3 means 1 out of every 3 members. Their seats are filled up by the fresh elections and the presidential nominations. Why? Because we know there are 238 seats which are open for the elections, and there are 12 seats which are reserved for the nominations. Alright. So basically, their seats are filled up by the fresh elections and the presidential nominations at the beginning of every third year because they retired at every second year. The retiring members are eligible for the re-election and re-nomination any number of times. It means that there is no provision to fix the membership of Rajya Sabha by the MP or the member of parliament. Alright. The constitution has not fixed the term of office of the members of Rajya Sabha and left it to the parliament. It means that the tenure of the Rajya Sabha is not decided by the constitution, but it is totally dependent upon the discretionary powers of the Parliament of India. Alright. Okay. So let's move forward. Accordingly, the Parliament basically passed the Representations of the People Act 1951, provided that the term of office of the members of Parliament shall be 6 years. How many years? 6 years. Okay. But remember, the question might become that the Constitution fixes, or you can say this could be the question design, that who fixes the tenure of Rajya Sabha members? Who fixes the tenure of Rajya Sabha members? And your options are President, Constitution, Parliament, or the Vice President. So this could be the question which could be come in your exam. So we know that basically there is a Parliament which fixes the tenure of Rajya Sabha. Constitution does not carry any provision for it, and the President could not dissolve the Rajya Sabha. And if the question asks, or the question could be modified, like basically the Parliament could fix the tenure of the Rajya Sabha and they had passed the act. So what is the name of this act? So remember, the name of the act was Representations of People Act 1951. Representation of People Act 1951 was the act which fixes the tenure for how many years? For 6 years. All right. Remember this. The act also empowered the President of India to curtail the term of members chosen in the first Rajya Sabha. Okay. And we know that the first Rajya Sabha was constituted in which year? Now it's a question for you. We had just seen it. In which year, for the first time, the Rajya Sabha was constituted? For this, you have 20 seconds to think an answer. Then I will give you the answer. So your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. The time's up. So basically, that was the year of 1952. In 1952, the first Rajya Sabha was constituted. Okay, so basically, the first act in 1951 was passed to fix the tenure for 6 years, and the similar act gives the power to the President of India that if he wants, then he could curtail the 6 years tenure for the first Rajya Sabha. In first batch, it was decided by lottery as to who should retire. Okay. Further, the act also authorized the president to make provisions to govern the order of retirement of the members of the Rajya Sabha, because we know that 1/3 members can retire every second year. All right. And we know that the president filled up the seats every third year by the nomination, and by the elections, the persons join the Rajya Sabha. Okay. After the Rajya Sabha, now we have the Lok Sabha, House of People. The lower house. Unlike the Rajya Sabha, the Lok Sabha is not a continuing chamber. It means that it is subject to be dissolved by the president on need. All right. So if we talk about the normal term, so the normal term is 5 years from the date of his first meeting after the general elections, after which it automatically dissolves. For example, if the first meeting was held in 2001 January, for example, okay, so in December 2005, the Lok Sabha will be automatically dissolved because it is having the 5 years tenure. All right. However, the president is authorized to dissolve the Lok Sabha at any time, even before the completion of 5 years, and this cannot be challenged in a court of law. All right. So you can say it is not necessary that the Lok Sabha should continue its tenure. If the president finds out that it is necessary to dissolve the Lok Sabha, doesn't matter whether the Lok Sabha had completed this tenure or not, the president could dissolve it. All right. And this decision could not be challenged in any court of law. So you can say it is out of the process of judicial review. Further, the term of the Lok Sabha can be extended during the period of national emergency, be a law of parliamentary for 1 year at a time for any length of time. Okay, like if the national emergency is in the force, which means if the Article 352, which stands for the national emergency, if this particular article is in force. So the parliament's tenure could be extended for 1 year. However, this extension cannot continue beyond the period of 6 years after the emergency has ceased to operate. For example, suppose in December 2005, Lok Sabha was supposed to be discontinued. For example, but then what happened? Due to some war-like conditions, the armed rebellion or the external aggression, Article 352, which stands for the national emergency, was imposed. So basically, the tenure could be extended up to December 2006 for the tenure of 1 year. This is the thing. Okay. But suppose in between this, there was a, you can say, March 2006, in which the national emergency was withdrawn. Okay, due to some reason, the national emergency was withdrawn in March 2006. Okay, so what will happen? That the Lok Sabha could continue till September 2006 only, till the end. Okay, why? Because we had seen once national emergency revoked. Okay, once national emergency revoked, extended tenure could continue up to six months only. If the national emergency was revoked in March 2006, so till 6 months, it means till September 2006, the Lok Sabha could be continued. Doesn't matter whether it was extended for December 2006 or not. Okay, so that is the thing. Thereafter, after the duration of 2 houses, now we have the membership of parliament, but I don't think that we have a sufficient time to start it. All right. So students, basically in this lecture, we have finished it here. Like we have seen the sessions and the durations of the 2 houses. Okay. We had seen that why the Raj Sabha considered as an upper house, why the Lok Sabha considered as a lower house. Thereafter, we had seen that what are the powers of the president regarding these 2 houses. All right. And even we had seen whenever the national emergency will be in the force. Okay. So the tenure of the Lok Sabha could be extended up to 1 year. but there is a provision like if within that 1 year the revocation process was started and the national emergency was revoked successfully, then it doesn't matter what will be the time period decided. The tenure could only extend it up to the 6 months, like the example we had taken. In December 2005, the Lok Sabha was about to dissolve. Re-elections were scheduled to held, but thereafter Article 352 came into the force, national emergency imposed, due to which the tenure could be extended up to the 1 year, which means December 2006. But meanwhile, in March 2006, due to some reasons, or you can say due to the normalization, the national emergency was withdrawn successfully. So, if the national emergency was withdrawn, the extension could only be continued up to the 6 months, okay, from the date of revocation. So, in March 2006, the national emergency was revoked. So, the Lok Sabha could be continued till September 2006, not December 2006. Why? The reason I have told you already. Alright. And thereafter, as we know that the Lok Sabha could be dissolved only and the Rajya Sabha could not be dissolved at all. And we had discussed that the members of the Rajya Sabha, doesn't matter whether they were elected or the nominated, they could be appointed, or you can say they could be re-elected for the second term also, or you can say for n number of terms. Okay, and then we remember that the tenure of the Rajya Sabha is not provided by the Constitution, but it's provided by the Parliament. Through which act? The famous act of People Representation Act 1951. And the first Rajya Sabha was constituted in 1952. The same act gives the power to the president, like instead of 6 months, he could curtail the tenure also. Okay, so these are the things that I have told you we have discussed in this lecture. Okay, so it's a time to finish this lecture. Just revise the facts and figures that all we have discussed in this lecture and be ready for the another lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture and thank you.